And welcome to another edition of Ducks Know Sports. This week we're previewing Week 1 of the CFL. That's right, folks. Week 1 of the CFL finally here. And with 4 interesting games this week, as 4 games can go either way. As we say this before every CFL season, sometimes the C in the CFL stands for crazy. As the CFL, that's the great thing about CFL. It's always wide open. And 4 games start the season. Who knows who's good? Who knows who's bad? Anybody's ball game, and pretty much any of these 8 teams could win the Grey Cup in 2013. But we'll start with our first matchup of the week, as the Montreal Alouettes traveling to Winnipeg to take on the Blue Bombers. We'll start with the Alouettes here. Disappointing year for the Alouettes last year, I have to say. I think that's any time they don't take home a Grey Cup. It's disappointing for this team. And an interesting offseason. Trustman, their great coach, is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And they're bringing a new guy from downstates, Hawkins. Don't know much about this guy. But he better adapt and adapt quick. Because this team is built to win. I mean, Calvillo on his last legs. So many players like Richardson on their last legs. The window for the Alouettes to win another Grey Cup is so small. We're talking maybe 1, maybe 2 years max. And if the Alouettes want to do, then they better come together quick. But anytime you have Anthony Calvillo, you have a shot. And let's be honest, for them to win this year, I don't think Anthony Calvillo doesn't have to be the Anthony Calvillo of old. I think they'll have to rely a lot on that defense, which is a pretty solid defense. And a lot of the running game, which was good at parts last year until Whitner went down. It just fell to crap. And it will be interesting because they're playing a desperate Winnipeg team. I say desperate week 1. When I talk about desperate week 1. Because when you have as bad a season as the Blue Bombers had last year, let's face it, they may not have been the worst team last year, but they pretty much act like the worst team last year. I mean, from start of the season, you can see this team just wasn't the same team from 2 years ago that went to the Grey Cup. And interesting offseason, as you release Brink, Elliott's gone, so pretty much it's Buck Pierce and nobody else. And the lack of Buck Pierce staying on the field, that worries me. Because Buck Pierce, great QB, probably great guy, but the man just can't stay healthy. And I think that'll be a big problem for the Blue Bombers this year, as I can't see this guy staying on the field. If your quarterback can't stay on the field, I don't care how good your defense is, you're not going to win many games. And I look at this matchup this week, I see a Montreal Alouette team with a lot to prove, a Winnipeg Blue Bomber want to prove, but I think Hawkins will want to get his CFL coach career off to the right start. And with Calvillo there, I think Calvillo and the Alouettes get the job done. I think the Montreal Alouettes win this game by a touchdown. Our next matchup is the Hamilton Tiger Cats of Guelph taking on your defending 2012 Grey Cup champions, the Toronto Argonauts. Start with the Tiger Cats. Just like the Blue Bombers, a desperate team, just how bad they were last year. Worst record in the league. And a team wants to prove a lot this year. Burris, he may have had good stats, but in my opinion, had a bad year. Just all in total had a bad year. They brought a new coach. He didn't work out. All other free agent signings didn't work out. But for Hamilton to be successful, in my opinion, you have to be more of a balanced offense. As last year was more just a pass-happy offense, and where to get them? Last plays in these. So I think with this year, you got to give the ball to Walker a hell of a lot more and be more conservative with Burris. Don't have him throwing every down. Have him run the ball, sets up the play action, and I think that's how you will be successful this year in Hamilton. And on defense, let's face it, you got to be a hell of a lot better than you were last year, because they were the worst defense by miles last year. Made a few, they fixed up a little bit in the offseason, but the defense that bad, you pretty much get rid of everyone and just start fresh. And right here, the Hamilton Tigers have to show it to me right here. because you're playing a team in the Toronto Argonauts who, yes, they won the Grey Cup last year, and yes, they're probably the best team in the league. Because you got a guy like Ricky Ray, who coming into a new system last year, he won a Grey Cup. So what's he going to do this year when he actually knows the system? I think the Toronto Argonauts are just going to be rocking and rolling this year. I mean, Hackett's back. You got Ray. You got Owens. And that's just on offense. And on defense, stellar defense as always. And I look at Toronto Argonauts, Hamilton Tiger-Cats. To me, this is a no contest. I mean, with Hamilton will have to prove it to me. Burris will have to prove it to me. Their defense for sure will have to prove it to me. And you look at a team that won the Grey Cup versus a team that came in last place last year. To me, this is a no question winning. Toronto Argonauts win this game, and I think this game will get out of hand, as I believe the Argonauts win this game by 3 touchdowns. Whew, it's going to be a rough year in Guelph. Our next matchup, the BC Lions taking on the Calgary Stampeders. Probably the best matchup of the week if you really look at it. Best matchup of the week. Probably the best 2 teams in the West. If you break it down, the BC Lions. Disappointing year last year. Of course, going to the Grey Cup 2 years ago. Then coming back last year. Looked like from the start of the season till they got to the playoffs were the best team in the league. Nobody was going to stop them. Then they got to the playoffs and the Calgary Stampeders stopped them. So it should be interesting with BC. Interesting offseason, losing G. Simon, trading him to Saskatchewan. Arlen Bruce is now with the Alouettes. But I don't think it'll be a problem because when you got Travis Lulay, it really doesn't matter because he is the best player in the league, bar none. Find me a better player. You won't do it because there is none. And I think this year with BC, they're going to continue to roll. Travis Lulay is going to have another great season, continue his legacy. Is probably one of the greatest QBs in the history of the CFL. And on defense, you lose Mitchell, but to me, maybe not a big loss because he came more of a distraction in the room there, that big incident last year. But I think BC, locked and loaded. I think they're the best team in the league. And I think the BC Lions are in for a good year. And they're playing a team in Calgary who will be interesting to see. Because last year they went to the Grey Cup without their starting QB. Of course, going with Kevin Glenn. Of course, Drew Tate, he's back. Drew Tate, starting QB, he's back in town. And it'll be interesting this week for Calgary. A very emotional week for the Calgary stand, for everybody in Calgary with the big flood going down there last week. And I think they'll ride off the emotions this week. I think Drew Tate being back. Yes, I love BC this year, but I just think with the big emotion, with the flood, Drew Tate coming back at home, Calgary Stampeders want to prove going to the Grey Cup last year, not a fluke. So that's why I think the Calgary Stampeders upset, if you call an upset in week 1, the BC Lions. And our final matchup of the week will be the Saskatchewan Roughriders traveling to Edmonton, take on the Eskimos. Start with Saskatchewan. Good offseason for the Roughriders as they getting G. Simon, probably, to me, hands down, the best receiver of all time in the CFL. And this week will be very interesting for Saskatchewan. I know a new offense for them. I think Durant will want to hook up with them often and early because I think these two will be hooking up a lot this year. And let's be honest, last year's Saskatchewan team was a very good team, but they lacked the big play threat, and that's exactly what G. Simon gives them. Great pickup by the Rough Riders. And I think this might be the difference from Saskatchewan going to a Grey Cup and maybe not going to a Grey Cup. Of course, we won't learn that till down the line. And the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, I think, will be good. A strong defense as always. They can still run the football with Sheets. Durant, not the biggest Durant fan in the world, but the guy knows how to win games. I think with G. Simon there are other great receivers. I think Saskatchewan Roughs are in for a good year. But they're playing, this will be a good test for Saskatchewan because they're playing a team in the Eskimos who, hey, they can't score, but man, can they stop you from scoring. Because bar none, the best defense last year was the Eskimos. And of course, getting Odell Willis from Saskatchewan Was a very interesting signing in the offseason because that makes a great defense even stronger. And I think that's how Edmonton, realistically, if you're going to win games this year at Edmonton, it's going to be running the football on offense, making enough plays with your QB and Mike Riley, new QB Mike Riley, making enough plays, and on defense, turning the ball over. The big question at Edmonton, don't turn the ball over and create turnovers. That's how you're going to win. You got to play more of a run-heavy type game, more of like a NFL kind of run-heavy, like a Baltimore Ravens run-heavy type game. I think that's how you get done in Edmonton this year. Hey, they got the defense to do it. They got a great running game. And they got a good QB there. Mike Riley, backup in BCL years. Good QB. And it'll be interesting because Edmonton, a team I'm very interested to see because Edmonton Eskimos could be a dark horse to win it all this year because you really don't know. There's so many X factors right there right now. You just don't know. But Saskatchewan coming into town, G-Roy, Simon, I think Durant and Simon will just do enough. I think that defense will play good enough to get by Edmonton. I expect it to be a tight one, but I expect the Saskatchewan Roughriders to go into Edmonton and get the job done. And this will be a tight one. I think this will be a field goal game, but I expect the Saskatchewan Roughriders to get the job done. So recap, I like the Montreal Alouettes to get past Winnipeg. I like the Argonauts to beat down the Ticats. I think Calgary will beat BC. And the Rough Riders sneak past the Eskimos. Should be interesting because week one, we really don't know what to expect. Should be a great week of football. See you next time because till next time, I'm Aaron Ducksbank. I'm Ducks. And I know sports. Kind of.